In the bustling city of London, in the late 19th century, a young American named Henry Adams found himself stranded, penniless, and far from home. Henry, a clerk by trade, had arrived in England after a series of misadventures at sea, his meager savings depleted. Hungry and disheveled, he wandered the streets, unsure of how he would survive. One day, as Henry sat on a bench, two elderly brothers, Roderick and Oliver Montpelier, observed him from a distance. The brothers, wealthy and eccentric, were engaged in a peculiar wager. Roderick believed that a man of good character could survive solely on the perception of wealth, while Oliver argued that actual money was necessary for survival. To settle their dispute, they devised an experiment, and Henry, with his honest face and tattered clothes, became their unwitting subject. The brothers invited Henry to their grand mansion, where they presented him with an envelope. Inside was a single, extraordinary banknote, £1,000,000, a sum so vast it was practically unheard of. There was a catch. The note was to be returned in 1 month, and Henry was not to spend it. The brothers explained that the mere possession of such a note would open doors, as no one would believe a pauper could hold such wealth unless he was trustworthy. Along with the note, they provided a letter explaining its authenticity, signed by the Bank of England. Skeptical but desperate, Henry accepted the challenge. He left the mansion with the £1,000,000 note tucked safely in his pocket, unsure of how to proceed. His first test came at a small tailor shop. Nervous, he entered to replace his ragged clothes. When the tailor, Mr. Harris, asked for payment, Henry sheepishly revealed the £1,000,000 note. The tailor's eyes widened, and instead of demanding cash, he insisted on outfitting Henry with the finest suits, free of charge, convinced that a man with such a note must be a person of immense importance. Mr. Harris even extended credit for future purchases, asking only that Henry remember his shop. Emboldened, Henry ventured to a modest restaurant. The same scene unfolded. The sight of the £1,000,000 note transformed suspicion into deference. The owner, Mr. Watkins, not only served Henry a lavish meal, but offered him a line of credit, insisting he return whenever hungry. Word of the £1,000,000 man began to spread, and soon Henry was dining with aristocrats, staying in luxurious hotels, and being courted by London's elite, all without spending a penny. As days passed, Henry's confidence grew. He befriended a young American diplomat, Lloyd Hastings, who was struggling to secure investors for a mining venture. Henry, now a social sensation, introduced Lloyd to influential figures, leveraging the aura of the £1,000,000 note. Invitations to grand balls and exclusive clubs poured in, and Henry found himself rubbing shoulders with dukes and financiers. Among them was Portia Langham, a spirited and intelligent young woman who captivated Henry's heart. Unlike others, Portia seemed unimpressed by his supposed wealth, drawn instead to his wit and kindness. However, the note's power came with complications. Henry's inability to spend it led to mounting debts, as shopkeepers and hoteliers extended credit they expected to be paid eventually. Rumors swirled about his identity. Was he an eccentric millionaire, a foreign prince, or a fraud? The press hounded him, and skeptics began to question the note's legitimacy. One particularly suspicious banker, Mr. Grayson, demanded to see the note at a dinner party, intending to expose Henry. When Henry produced the letter from the Bank of England, Grayson's doubts were silenced, and his reputation soared higher. As the month neared its end, Henry faced a dilemma. His debts had grown substantial, and he had no means to pay them without the note, which he was bound to return. Meanwhile, Lloyd's mining venture secured funding, thanks to Henry's introductions, and Lloyd promised to share the profits. Portia, sensing Henry's unease, confessed her affection for him, revealing that she was the niece of the Montpelier brothers. She had known about the wager all along, but had fallen in love with Henry for who he was, not the note he carried. On the final day, Henry returned to the Montpelier mansion, the £1,000,000 note still intact. The brothers were delighted with the outcome. Roderick declared victory, arguing that Henry's success proved the power of perceived wealth, while Oliver conceded that Henry's character had been key. As a reward, they offered Henry a substantial sum, but he declined, explaining that Lloyd's venture had made him financially secure. More importantly, he had won Portia's heart. Henry and Portia married soon after, and the £1 million note was framed as a memento of their extraordinary journey. The story of the penniless man, who conquered London with a single, unspendable note became a legend, a testament to the strange alchemy of trust, perception, and human kindness. I sincerely request you to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.